Hey guys, today we're gonna make one of Joerg Sprave's most famous slingshot designs, the Moorhammer. And this is gonna be made using plywood and a lot of exotic hardwood. After making my last slingshot, I noticed an interesting detail. While the sides look pretty rubbish, the bottom and the top looks really nice. This is almost like multiplex plywood, which I really like. It has this really nice and clean look to it. So, while cutting out the plywood, I will keep track of the grain direction. Now we can start with the build. As always, we start with the template. Again, this is the Moorhammer by Joerg Sprave, and I'll put a link in the description down below so that you can find the template. What I've done now is that I have already drawn this template onto these pieces, and I'm just gonna cut it out using the jigsaw. However, because as you saw earlier in my last video, I told you that you cannot cut out the plywood with a jigsaw because it will splinter. So this one I'm gonna cut out using the coping saw. It came to my mind that I should probably mention the other wood types I'll be using. Except for the plywood, I will be using this 15mm thick oak board and this bamboo cutting board, and this one is 16mm thick. The total thickness of all these together is 56mm, and you want to have something like that for a comfortable handle. Now that I'm gonna cut this out, I did the rough work with the jigsaw because I saw that it was harder than I thought. So basically all the cutting will be done using the coping saw. Now that all the parts are cut out, we can just glue them together like so. And now this is gonna set overnight. It's the next day, I have let this dry for 12 hours and now it should be pretty solid. Let's see. I think this is looking really good. I think I got the shape right, and also the thickness is good, and I also think the bond was pretty strong. So we can move on to the next step now, and we're gonna even out the sides using wood rasps. This is how it should look once you have done that rasp work. Off camera I cut out the fork shape, and before going any further I will first have to do the vise test. This is done by placing the slingshot in the vise so that only the fork tips are sticking out. You then attach a cord to each one of the fork tips and attach those two to a luggage scale, and here on the meter you can then read how much weight you are putting against the frame. I need my slingshot to be able to hold up for 10 kilos, so that is what I'm gonna be aiming at. Yeah, 15 kilos there, and it held up, so we can continue. Just in case you're wondering, 15 kilos is equal to about 30 pounds. Anyway, now that this slingshot passed the wise test, we can move on to the next step, which is cutting out the side. Now online you will only be able to find the front profile, so for the sides you could either use the Teo hammer templates or the Rambo templates. Just choose what you like the most. And when it comes to the top, you will just have to figure out this shape yourself. Now we're gonna shape the slingshot. One way to do this is by only using wood rasps, but a much more effective way to do this is to use a coping saw, because with this one you can remove a lot of materials in a short matter of time and it will speed up the process a lot. So now it's been an hour since I started filing this thing, and it has been terrible. But at least I got a good shape, it is looking really nicely and it is really smooth already. So now I'm gonna sand it. One of the things I learned from last time was that it's not a good idea to start at 80 grit, because this sandpaper is very rough and it makes scratches rather than removing them. So I will not be using that. I will neither be using the 120 grit, because as I said, I made a very thorough job while filing, so this thing is really smooth already. Therefore, what I'm gonna do is to start at 240 grit and then work my way up to 1000 grit. Seems like the 1000 grit sandpaper did its magic, because this is silky smooth. Now comes the moment of truth when we're gonna oil it. The oil I'm using is boiled linseed oil, and I'm using that rather than raw linseed oil because it will dry a lot faster. Say what you want about this, but in my personal opinion, oiling is definitely the most rewarding thing in woodworking. The only thing that can bring this up to the next level is some paste finishing wax, which I obviously don't have. But still, it's looking really good and it's gonna be a great shooter. Here are some pictures. We're outside and I have banded up with some single layer Sarvagon gold. The bands are 21 centimeters long and they're meant for an 80 centimeter long draw. And also they are target shooting bands, so I will shoot marbles. Now let's see how it shoots. I'm standing at an 8 meter distance and I will try to hit that little target over there. And by the way, always when shooting a slingshot you should wear safety glasses. Hit it right in the center and we have pieces lying all over the place. I really like using brick as a target because it breaks when you shoot it, which is really satisfying. Anyway, that was all I had for today. So in my next video I will be making the Joerg Sprave Rambo slingshot. Stay tuned for that. I'd like to thank you for watching this video and I hope that you will subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. I'll see you next time. Bye.